Okay, the light's on, folks. Well, welcome everyone this evening, and we are quite honored this evening to have a lot of our Albany Police Department here attending, and they will be here for some awards this evening, but welcome. So with that, would you like to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mary, could we get a roll call, please?
Olson.
Here.
Sykes.
You.
Bessie Johnson.
Here.
Kellum.
Here.
Alex Johnson.
Here.
Coburn.
Here.
Okay, all right. Chief Latanzio, would you like to come forward with some life-saving awards? And he has a whole box full this evening. And Captain Lyles?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight, I first would like to ask David Diecast to come up here, and this is for a Public Service Award. David Diecast is the owner of Canyon Plastics on Circle Drive in Albany. Due to many issues in his business neighborhood, he installed high-quality cameras around his building. His camera system design allows for easy identification of license plates. David communicated with his business neighbors and provided access to his video footage numerous times. Since 2015, David's camera system was instrumental in identifying numerous suspects, helped us make five arrests. 5 cases were from the Albany Police Department and 1 was from Oregon State Police. Without David's assistance and video system for the arrests would have likely never been made. Each of these incidents were cases involving his neighbors and not himself. He made a significant contribution with his investment of money and time to law enforcement and for public service. I would like to thank Mr. Diecast for his support of public safety and present him with a Public Service Award. Congratulations. Do you want to make some comments, Councilor Kellum?
Just very, very briefly. Dave's a neighbor of mine across the street. I think Albany needs to know that there are people like David out there who go the extra mile. When a truck took out a fence, city came by and cleaned up some of the mess. He goes out there, cleans up the rest of it, puts down tarp, covers it up with bark dust, and made what I call David Diecast Park. I made him a sign in jest, but he goes the extra mile, and anytime there is some problem in the area, is it, hey, did you hear about, and he's over there looking and finding out where whoever did whatever. So I just wanted to add my 14 cents worth. Thank you.
I have several life-saving awards to read tonight. The first one is going to be for Officer David Vaughn. Can you please come up here for me? On August 8th at approximately 1700 hours, officers responded to a suicidal subject called in by Lynn County Mental Health, where an intoxicated subject stated he was going to jump off the Ellsworth Bridge. This was the same person who tried to jump off the bridge on 2 other occasions. Officer Vaughn located this person on the top of the bridge. As soon as the subject observed Officer Vaughn, he placed his leg over the railing and started to lift his body up as if he was going to go over. Officer Vaughn ran to the subject and pulled him off the railing and onto the ground. A bystander assisted Officer Vaughn in placing handcuffs on the subject. The subject was transported to Samaritan Hospital for treatment. I would like to honor Officer Vaughn with the Life-Saving Award for his selfless and humane action in saving the life of a distraught suicidal male attempting to jump off the Ellsworth Bridge. Congratulations. For the next life-saving awards, I would like to ask Lieutenant Hammersley, Officers Wood, Hedrick, Sousa, Williams, and Fandrum to come up here. At approximately 0303 hours, officers responded to the report of a male who had left his bicycle in the middle of the highway and was standing on the outside rail of the Pacific Boulevard overpass. Officer Williams and Sousa, who were riding together and working a special assignment, arrived on scene first to find a Hispanic male, about 5'9" and 250 pounds, on the outside of the railing threatening suicide. Officer Williams and Sousa grabbed a hold of the male and prevented the male from jumping by holding him against the rail on the outer ledge of the north side of the Pacific Boulevard overpass directly over several tracks of the railroad. Officer Hedricks, Fandrum, Wood, and Hammersley arrived, and each of the officers grabbed a hold of the subject. The officer struggled severely to get the male subject back to safety as the male subject held on to a light post, which prevented the officers from pulling him over the rail. The subject would also intentionally go limp, attempting to lower his center of gravity and resisting aid. The subject was highly intoxicated and in crisis. Officer Williams and Sousa negotiated with the subject to come back onto the road side of the railing by reassuring him that he had things to live for. The subject began to cooperate and agreed to come back over the railing, letting go of the light post. Each of the officers worked together as a team and pulled the subject back over the railing before he changed his mind and fell. Once safety, the subject acted as though he was unaware of what occurred and acted in disbelief of being on the outside of the railing. Officers Wood and Hedrick transported the subject to the hospital. I would like to award the Life-Saving Merit Awards to Lieutenant Hammersley, Officers Fandrum, Hedrick, Sousa, Williams, and Wood, who, while acting in their official capacity, performed an active, distinct, and successful life-saving of another person. Congratulations. The next life-saving award I'd like to ask Sergeant Stephanie Gibney to come up here. On January 4th, 2019, at 12:27 hours, the Albany Police Department was notified of a despondent male on top of the Lion Street Bridge. Sergeant Gibney arrived first and began verbal contact with the despondent male who was straddling the east railing of the bridge. Sergeant Gibney immediately began interacting with the male from a safe distance. Other officers arrived and began to assist. While speaking with the male, Sergeant Gibney coordinated with responding police units and requesting the fire department respond with a boat. Because of the low water level combined with a bridge height, the probability of death is high. Sergeant Gibney continued to talk to the male in a calm voice, quickly building a rapport. With personal information, plainly spoke about suicide and its impact on family and others. He talked about how another had broken him and could not go on. The male alarmed officers when he stepped over the railing with his back to the Willamette River and threw down his cellular telephone. At this point, the despondent male lifted his hand to Sergeant Gibney and asked her to help him. She plainly spoke to the male about her own concerns about being pulled over. Other officers stepped up and assisted the male into a safe area. The male was transported to the Albany Samaritan Hospital for treatment. Several citizens were stopped by police cars and contacted by the Albany Police Department to pass on their commendations of actions of Sergeant Gibney and other officers. One citizen wrote he watched the whole thing and was still trying to process what he had seen and wanted to say thank you for saving a life. A second citizen called and said she watched the incident unfold and greatly appreciated the humane way the officers handled the situation and maintained the male's dignity. I would like to award Stephanie Gibney with the Life-Saving Award for her selfless, humane action in saving the life of a distraught, suicidal male attempting to jump from the Lion Street Bridge. Congratulations. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. It's like, wow, I mean, it's amazing to think, I have no idea what it would be like being in your shoes on each one of you that were out helping somebody in that situation, because what was going through your mind, I can imagine every little inch that person took, you didn't know what was going to be happening. And so we want to thank you so much for your brave, hard work and being able to help individuals in need, so. But thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, next. Let's go ahead and take a 3-minute break, and so till the room gets cleared out. So, thank you.
It was dead today. Just 6 phone calls and they were all about here, let me send you something. Cold and snowy does not make for a lot of
Makes for a lot of insurance. Makes for a lot of healing. Everybody was at home today. I had plenty of customers today. I had
Hopefully no claims.
no, I don't sell auto insurance. That's other stuff. Yeah.
All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started here. Thank you, folks, for your patience. It is just such an honor to be able to see our police department and all the hard work they do. So I hope that was kind of very informative. A lot of times, us in the community don't really realize what our police department's doing on a daily basis, but yeah, thank you. Okay, so next would be accepting Courtney Martin's resignation from the Traffic Safety Commission. I think it's actually Courtney Stubbs on that. So, Council, what would you like to do with this item?
I would move that we accept Courtney's resignation and send her a letter of thanks.
I second it.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. Okay, next we have a scheduled public hearing. And so bear with me, folks, I got to read a little script here. Next on tonight's agenda is a quasi-judicial public hearing regarding a street vacation for the southern 175 feet of the Walnut Street right-of-way that is located approximately 500 feet south of Pacific Boulevard, Walnut Street intersection, as described in planning file number VC0118. I call to order this quasi-judicial public hearing at 7:29 p.m. If you wish to testify, please sign in at the table next to the city clerk. Do any members wish to declare a conflict of interest? Do any members wish to report any ex parte content? And do any members wish to report a site visit? Well, I think all of us drive by this location many times. I do several times a day. And do any members wish to abstain from participating in the proceedings? Okay. Does anyone wish to challenge the participation of any council member in this hearing and decision? All right. For those wishing to testify, please be aware that you must raise an issue with enough detail to afford the council and parties an opportunity to respond to the issue if you later want to raise that issue on appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals. Testimony and evidence must be directed towards approval standards staff will describe or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or development code which you believe to apply to the decision. If additional documents or evidence are provided by any party, the City Council may allow a continuance or leave the record open to allow the parties a reasonable opportunity to respond. At this time, I call for the staff report. Melissa?
Thank you very much, Mayor, council members. So tonight is the public hearing for this request for a street vacation, and it's proposing the vacation for a portion of Walnut Street. This portion at the end of Walnut Street is about 175 feet long, and the right-of-way width is about 60 feet wide, or it is 60 feet wide. Now, this is a Type 4 process, which included already a public hearing before the Planning Commission and also public noticing. So public notices were published in the newspaper 2 times, direct mailing as well, and posting the property. On January 28th, the Planning Commission had a public hearing, and they voted to recommend to the City Council adoption of the requested street vacation. And this next image just shows the survey, and also just kind of a close-up of that property with an image of the aerial, which shows the portion of this Walnut Street that is proposed to be vacated. The request is by the property owners that are to just abutting this portion, and they wish to be able to develop their property. And as you can see in this slide, where I'm trying to illustrate 27th Street, that has been vacated. So really, there's no more public purpose for the extension of Walnut Street to continue south to 28th, which is in the staff report, which is a big reason that there's really no benefit for the public to retain this, because that 27th Street section has already been vacated. The staff report addressed all of the criteria and found that all the criteria were met, and there's one condition of approval that's included in the proposal and the ordinance attachments that would retain a public easement over just a corner of the northwest portion for the water line and stormwater line, just at that corner. And so that's already included. And so after this, we'd have time for any public testimony if we have it. The options for the council are to approve it with the condition of the easement as it's proposed, or to deny the proposal. The applicant's representative, Troy Plum, is here to answer any questions as well. Do you have any questions for me at this time?
So Melissa, years ago, we had this request, and I didn't see it in the staff report on the history of it, but I believe it never came through. The question back there then was that there could have been a future traffic signal on 24th. So is there still going to be retained enough right-of-way in case there's ever a traffic signal put in there?
On 24th?
Yeah, so if you look up on the north end of it. Go back to the map. So do you see where it connects up to?
Where Walnut Street is intersecting with Highway 99?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you're asking if we're going to have a signal in the future, and if there'll be adequate right-of-way?
Mm-hmm.
And if we vacated this, if that's going to inhibit that in some way, or?
So are we still retaining Walnut north of the little red spot?
Yes.
Okay.
That is not proposed to be vacated at this time.
So just that little south end, okay, because that's
Just
what we
that.
looked at years ago, was vacating all of that, and then it was retained for a future
Yeah.
street connection.
No, it's just the red portion.
Okay, because there was always talk before where Shane's Motors is whenever that's redeveloped, it could end up warranting a traffic light put there.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you. Questions? Okay, all right, thank you, Melissa. We will now be taking public testimony. As I recognize you, please come to the podium, state your full name and address, spell your last name, and make any comments you may have for the council's consideration. If anyone wishes to enter an exhibit into the record as part of your testimony, please briefly describe it and then present it to the city clerk. Does anyone wish to testify? There was 2 people that signed up on this public hearing, but I don't know if it was for this public hearing or not. You did sign it? Or okay, so there was a Courtney Minyard.
Yeah, it's
It's another issue, okay, and I think, Scott, you signed up and it's another issue. Okay, so did you want to comment? Yeah, okay, thank you.
I apologize, the room was so crowded when I came in, I forgot about the sign.
Yep, no problem at all.
So Troy Plum, Post Office Box 374, Corvallis, Oregon 97339. And thank you, Melissa, for a great summary.
No, Michael said don't move him at all.
Right, he already moved it.
Oh, you did move it.
Michael came up out of his chair.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
I think we can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
at the Planning Commission hearing the last time,
It's a
I had to bring it all.
different
Yeah.
New
mic.
microphones.
We just got these new ones, so we're hoping it works a lot better, but yeah.
Okay, so just to mention, the portion of right-of-way that we're proposing to be vacated is undeveloped right now. The remainder to the north of Walnut Street is all developed. So, and as Melissa mentioned, 27th Street no longer exists, so there's no connection point. And this has come up, I've been working with the owners, they own everything adjacent to this portion of right-of-way, and a little over 18 acres in the surrounding area. They've been looking at ways to develop it and coordinating with potential developers, and I've been working out various development concepts, and all of them would prefer this right-of-way not to exist. It just doesn't serve any purpose, and it breaks up, developable portions of land for no great reason. So that's the intention of it. They're looking at developing all 18 acres, except right now there's a big blue bow truss building that'll remain, and it is operational industrial facility now. So I believe this is all very straightforward. I'd love to hear any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah, Dick?
Yeah, there's just that little piece, despite Mike, people keep telling me they can't hear me, so I can't move that. So tell me if I'm not talking loud enough.
I can hear you.
Can you hear? Are you satisfied with just that little piece that's going to be vacated?
Well, yeah, so my client's property ends at the northern portion of this section of right-of-way we're proposing to be vacated.
Okay, I don't
As
see
we
it.
move north, that the existing portion, the developed portion of Walnut Street, the properties on either side are not owned by my client, and Walnut Street is used today to access those properties.
Yeah, I don't see any property lines on this map, so I was wondering.
Yeah,
why
they're
vacate
kind
a
of
little
there with the
chunk.
color.
Well, I guess maybe if I look real careful, I guess there are
Yeah.
property lines. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real light.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? All right.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else want to comment on this agenda item? This is over the Walnut Street vacation. Okay, not seeing anyone. Melissa, did you have any other testimony?
No.
Okay. And does anyone have any procedural questions they'd like to raise at this time? Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing at 7:38 PM. And council, you have an ordinance on page 6. Would you like the city attorney to do the first reading?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, an ordinance vacating a portion of the Walnut Street right-of-way that is located about 500 feet south of the Pacific Boulevard Walnut Street intersection in Albany, Oregon, and adopting findings.
I'll make a motion the ordinance be read a second time in title only.
Second?
okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, second reading.
An ordinance vacating a portion of the Walnut Street right-of-way that is located about 500 feet south of the Pacific Boulevard Walnut Street intersection in Albany, Oregon, and adopting findings.
Make a motion for adoption of the ordinance.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Melissa.
Good to see you, Troy.
Okay, and then a quasi judicial decision of the city council may be appealed to the Land Use Board of Appeals by filing a notice of intent to appeal not later than 21 days after the decision becomes final. Okay, that takes care of that. And council, I'm going to adjust the agenda here a bit, and move our item 5A of receiving the mayor's veto of ordinance 5924 before business from the public, so we don't have any more testimony to have to interfere since that public hearing was closed.
So it's on the revised agenda?
Yeah, so the city attorney can explain the process here.
And so, Mayor and Council, the agenda says receiving the mayor's veto of an ordinance, and remember Monday night, the veto was received and read by the recorder, so technically tonight there won't be reread again, the veto won't be reread again, it's just tonight the council will vote on the veto itself, so.
Okay, all right. Council, yeah, Bessie?
Well, I just want to say that the way it was reported in the paper and stuff, it showed that, or said that I disagreed with it or didn't want to go because it wasn't date stamped, and that's not the case. It was date stamped but not initialed, and so I just wanted to set that record straight.
Okay.
And also that the ordinance number was not on the veto, so I don't think it's valid.
Did you want to address that, Sean, that they don't have to be?
I'm happy, I mean, if it was challenged, my position on it would be that the way our charter is written, that the ordinance is not required to be on the ordinance number. In the past, we usually don't put them on there either, when, of course, we don't do many vetoes either, but on other stuff, usually we don't put the ordinance on there until it's going to be put in the code. But in this particular case, the way our charter is written, I don't think it's required. So, I mean, doesn't mean it's bulletproof, but it's just that's my opinion. So.
Okay, all right. All right, council, is there a motion?
Hearing no action, I guess your veto stands.
So there's no motion to override the veto then?
Well, Mayor,
To,
I know there's not enough votes to do it, why bother with it?
Well, then, if that's the case, then I will vote to override the mayor's veto.
Is there a second?
okay, is there a second?
Good.
Okay, second. You get it over with.
All
Yeah.
right, okay,
For
all
debate.
those, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Can I do a roll call vote?
You sure can.
Olson,
No.
Sykes,
Yes.
Bessie Johnson,
Yes.
Kellum,
Yes.
Alex Johnson,
Yes.
Coburn.
No.
That vote required 5 in the affirmative.
Okay, all right, so then that just makes the motion is, the ordinance is not valid at this time, so, and is there anything else? Or Alex, or did you have something?
No, I'm still waiting for additional information, Mayor.
Over it. And is there something we can help you with on that, or?
I'm working with the city attorney to get my clarifications.
Okay, all right, okay. With that, now
Madam Mayor?
next, we will go to.
Madam Mayor, I just
Uh-huh.
want to say that I know this has been said many times, but when you have city staff, the planning commission, city council, twice, and actually 3 times, saying that that's what is wanted, I don't understand why one person can rule what the majority says. We had many testimonies for it, and I feel that some want to stay in the 50s into a utopia, like, okay, let's put a bubble around us and not do anything. We can't do that. And you're going to have to be progressive at one point, and I just really feel that it feels like a autocracy, dictatorship, however you want to put it, that just because, I mean, when 4 counselors say yes, that's usually it. And it passes, and that's the democratic way. So I really feel that this has been taken to a limit where it's just beyond what I think should be happening at the city council. I really do. I'm really disappointed. And, you know, some people may want to stay in the past, but by guys, you know, we've got, people are going to come here no matter what. And I don't care what anybody says, this is not a low-income thing. People can build. I mean, if you're well enough off to do it, why should you not be able to do it? If you've got the land to do it, it's like telling people, well, I don't want you to do that. But only a couple people are saying it. And I just don't think it's the democratic way, and I really feel disappointed that this is happening. I really do.
Well,
That's all.
respect your opinion, and I hope you respect mine, because I'm very disheartened over to me, I feel like it's the lack of disrespect of everyone that invest in their single-family neighborhoods, and it's like turning your heads away from basically single-family neighborhoods. And it's not just me, there's 3 counselors, me plus 2 counselors, remember, that are in disagreement. But I have not heard one substantial reason to be supporting lessening our rules on ADUs. We're not denying them. The ADU will still can be built, but it's just, don't open up that floodgate for having them be throughout the whole community.
But that's
You
your
can
opinion,
always
and
change
it's
the
always
rules.
been that way, and it's your way or the highway, and I don't
No.
think that's right.
Bessie, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for Bill and Dick too on the same side. But this is actually, and
think
and
you
it's
would.
not, and it is democracy. It's in our charter to have the right to be able to veto an ordinance.
Well, maybe we might have to work on that.
So, I mean,
It's never been used in the past, so
Yes,
I
it
feel
has.
it's really being taken advantage of at this
Counselor
point.
Olson used it. It has been used in the past. So, yeah. Dick?
Yeah. It seems how you bring it up. I did use my veto. The council, in their wisdom, decided we ought to give away our ambulance service and the vehicles. And I didn't think it was a good idea. And when I was mayor, I missed one meeting. And that meeting, when I was gone, the council, in their wisdom or lack thereof, voted to give away our ambulance service and the ambulances. And I came back, I was disappointed, I vetoed it. I only had one council person who would uphold my veto, Dale Ross, bless her heart. She's been on the planning commission the whole time I've been a councilman. She's my appointment, I'm glad she's there. Dale is a Rock River Republican, but nonetheless, I think she's an excellent planning commission member.
That's irrelevant.
As luck would have it, there were a couple of bad accidents out on the freeway. Our fire department had to respond. They went out with their jaws of life. They got the victims out of the wrecked vehicles. They put those victims into the ambulances, and the ambulance company drove them off to the hospital. Didn't have to do much other than drive them there. And I said to the council, is that reasonable? Is that smart to have our fire department have to respond, and then the ambulance company collects the fee? Well, we got rid of that city manager, and we got our ambulances back a little bit later. So I was glad I had the veto to bring it up and get people to realizing what the council had done, because I got a lot of comments from the public, and I think the council did too. It was a foolish move to give away those ambulances. So thank God for the veto, and thank God for the mayor having a veto, so that we can keep from speculators and out-of-town property owners from doing this ADU thing to our neighborhoods. So
Counselor Olson,
thank you, Mayor, for
Counselor
vetoing.
Olson, can I ask
Thank
you,
you.
do you think that there are not duplexes, triplexes, and actual homes that are not owned and rented by out-of-town, out-of-state owners?
I know of some, I know that they're nuisances.
Really? All of them?
No. I know some out-of-town property owners that do a good job.
But that isn't the issue, though.
No,
I mean,
that
it's
is
because
not.
somebody buys a single-family home, and they're hoping that their government, local government, is out protecting their investment and not just allowing things to change in their neighborhood.
You say it's not
So-
relevant, and yet that's one of the reasons you vetoed it is because you want the owner occupied.
Right.
So,
You bet I do.
So,
Right.
you
You
just,
know, I live in a neighborhood where that was the case, where it was absentee ownership. My neighborhood has improved markedly
I think
since
many
we bought our
neighborhoods
house.
have.
No. Okay, all right, so that ordinance is no longer alive. And next is business
So
from
can
the
I-
public.
Mayor, can I add
Uh-huh.
something to this? So I'm where I'm at right now because I'm a research guy. And I have serious questions, concerns about both sides of it. And I've gone back and forth with the city attorney. I've talked to other city councilors. I've talked to my predecessor. I still have questions and they haven't been answered. And so until then, I'm where I'm at. And I was going to make some changes today. And then I've heard feedback from public, feedback from my constituents. And so I've been doing this a month. Well, this is the second month, tomorrow or Friday. So I still have research to do, and I'm collecting my data, driving around neighborhoods, talking to people in those neighborhoods. So I don't know what else is going on, but I'm doing my research to make sure I'm making the right decision for Albany.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, business from the public. And I think there was two people that must have been signing up for that. Was that Courtney then? Yeah, you can come forward. Thank you.
So my first name is Courtney, my last name is Minyard. My last name is spelled Minyard, and I live at 316 Water Avenue Northeast, Albany, Oregon, 97321. I'm here today to represent many neighbors and community members. I'm here to share an alarming concern. The city of Albany is planning to place a 10-foot by 19-foot by 8-foot tall pump house building on the Dave Clark Trail along our beautiful waterfront. The pump house was originally planned to be placed at the head of the trail where the current Dave Clark Trail sign is actually located, and now is planned 20 yards west of the original site. The site is located visible to the wheelhouse and the only residential properties with a view of both the trail and the river. The building will separate our growing new urban historic downtown Albany from our two highly recognized downtown breweries, Deluxe and Calapooya, and separate what was an extension of downtown and the Dave Clark Trail with an up-and-coming housing development intended to create single-family homes with new urban-style living, and to our downtown community garden. The building will not only be an eyesore at one of the most beautiful sections of the trail, but will create a visual barrier and congregating location for the homeless and taggers to hide. It will encourage access to the river hillside, allowing access to the eroded hillside on the path leading beneath the wheelhouse building, creating a perfect tagging, homeless, and drug hideaway. The city stated in a meeting in December it was not required to solicit community input or post public notice because they own the property. However, after additional communication admitted that the city in fact requested approval for the use of the project and the property that actually belonged to the state parks. After a year of requested meetings and concerns, city officials finally met with concerned citizens in December of 2018. Additional meetings have been promised, scheduled, rescheduled, but have not occurred. The city has options to move the above-ground pump house building entirely off the path, just as a similar project was moved in Springfield, Oregon, when the city recognized it was a concern area. And although neighbors have tried to reach out to city officials for over a year, city officials state that because of the current status of the project now, this site is the cheapest option that they have and have shown no sincere interest in finding a solution that preserves the safety and the views of the river along this beautiful and well-utilized Dave Clark Vision and Dave Clark Trail. The city has shared proposed maps only at the request of private citizens, but alarmingly, they have changed drastically over the course of just 2 months, and they are not to scale, and again, they misrepresent the project to our community at large. Our community at large has no idea that this project is planned, and that our city officials continue to ignore the negative impacts of this project. Just today, I viewed over 60 runners, walkers, dog walkers, and photographers utilizing the path along this part of the trail with its beautiful views of the river. Our local police force is currently able to monitor the path here with minimal cost and effort. A building will add additional time and effort to keep it free of unsafe activity and safe for our community to utilize. I beg you to ask questions and support our local police and our community in the relocation of this proposed pump house.
Okay. I think Councilor Olson brought this up on Monday, and I have had some concerns on it, so I didn't know that this has not been resolved yet. So we will have our city manager check into this and be able to get everybody together to meet and hopefully get this resolved soon. So you have very valid concerns on that. I never really realized either what the size of that pump house was going to look like. I know it's always been in our plan for years, but never really realized and that location. So we will make sure that your concerns get addressed.
Thank you very
Okay?
much.
All right.
So does that mean we're going to put a hold on future planning or any turning of dirt or anything like that?
Project's currently scheduled to go out to bid in about 3 weeks. You have an agreement that you selected with the state on the funding that has specific timelines in which different investments have to be made. So it would come at consequence. I can't quantify what all those consequences are at the moment. There have been, we spent some time specifically responding to aesthetic concerns that you expressed before we accepted the grant. Talking about that, it's obviously, as the mayor said, it's been a project that's been in the works for a long time. We've had quite a few public meetings about it, and
But I didn't see any real pictures of what was going to go on until I saw the thing on Hassel Herring's blog. I went down there that same week, and they showed me a picture of kind of a shed sticking up about 10 or 12 feet above the ground, above where the pump is going to be placed.
yeah, we're happy to share with you whatever you want. We don't.
I want you to share with the public, is what I want. And I'd like to see you put a hold on any more progress.
I'm really not wanting to get into a debate in this setting over
Well, it seems
differences
to me
of
this is about the only
history
place
over
I can get into
over
a debate.
history.
Well, I don't think we'll get it resolved today, but the one
Well,
thing,
I don't want to wait and get it resolved after they've already started pushing the dirt.
right. I'm just curious what Ms. Minyard had mentioned about that they requested a meeting but didn't have the meeting? It got canceled, or?
I'd prefer not to get into a debate of
Okay.
differences of opinion over the history in this
Mhm.
setting unless you would like me to do that.
Yeah, no, okay. So we'll make sure that the council gets a report back too, so we can be able to be fully up to speed on this, and then have staff be, trying to address the concerns too.
Well, it's going to be more than try.
Okay, all right, any questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Okay, next, let's see, Scott?
Good evening. My name is Johnny Scott Van Ross. That's V as in Victor, A-N-R-A-S as in Scott. I live at 2823 45th Court Southeast, Albany, Oregon. I've been a resident of Albany for 30 years. Back in October, I was cited for speeding in what was believed to be the Waverly school zone. It's my understanding that, well, I did go to court and I prevailed in proving with the documentation that was provided to you that there was some concerns about whether that was or was not a school zone. So I was found not guilty. The traffic engineering study was done. It was presented to the Traffic Safety Council, and the Safety Council then presented that request to you. What I would like to get confirmed, because again, my only information is from Hasso's blog, is what was the decision on Monday night? It is my understanding that the Traffic Safety Commission, in addition to approving, to presenting the traffic engineering study, also stipulated that they wanted a PED crossing at the south crosswalk. And there was nothing in Hasso's blog that stated that that was approved or not approved. So if I could get that clarified.
Wasn't that the
No, I think
Wasn't either.
the traffic engineer was Ron Irish, and he was going to come back. He took direction from the council about shortening the zone, and he was going to come back with a plan for doing that.
So there is no, this isn't a done deal.
No, it's not a done deal. There's ambiguity in the Uniform Traffic Device Manual about when and how signs should be replaced, because the manual changes. And I would recommend you know, if you can, listen to the recording from Monday night's meeting where Ron did a
I tried
pretty
to
good job.
find it, but unlike 2018 where you could go back, the current catalog, the current calendar only shows meetings on a go-forward basis, so I was not able to find that information.
I think if you go to the top of the page, you can actually select the time.
Yeah, it's there right
Yeah.
It's there.
Okay, I'll try again. Okay. When I was cited, I got the opportunity to go down to the police department, and I got to pay to find out information on the number of citations for that school zone. There were 13 citations issued in 2018. If we go on the assumption that my being found not guilty applies to them, I would like to know, are they going to be exonerated? One of the findings by the judge, or concerns of the judge, and I read from his January 30th, after reviewing the statutes and various ODOT publications, I'm inclined to agree with you that an in-school zone or in-school zone speed limit is required at the end of every school speed zone. Because this interpretation would significantly impact the city, I would request input from the city attorney on this issue before rendering my final decision. And then it goes on from there. The impact to the city is not my concern. The impact to the citizenry is a major concern. I then contacted municipal court and I asked them how much money was received on the count of traffic citations in 2018. $546,000 in traffic citations. Assuming $200 a ticket, that's 2,700 citizens that paid up. And whether or not they're guilty or innocent, they paid. Now, one of the comments in the myriad of articles that Hasso wrote was a person that said, how many people do not have the time, and I'm paraphrasing, and just suck it up and pay the tab? Fortunately, I had the time, and I had your documents, and I went to court. Where is the justice for those people and the myriad of other people? When I went to court on January 28th, there were 2 cases before me. Both cases were thrown out. One for a barking dog with no evidence. A 10-year-old boy was home. The officer had him call his mother to come home so that he could talk to her. The judge threw that out. The second case was a traffic accident. The judge did not agree with the description that the second person involved said was the result of the accident and cited her. The judge threw that out. How many times, if we're going to sit here and talk about there was a $75,000 shortage in municipal court, are we going to talk about the judge getting cases brought before him that had no merit? Mine had no merit. There was no value served in me going before any traffic court or paying any fine. The only other citation I have received was in 2008, in which case there was a California stop at the traffic lights, the camera lights. I was working then, and I sent in my money and I got a $50 credit. $350 fine, I got a $50 credit, $300 for something that happens every day throughout this city. Justice doesn't come with a price tag. And if what you're doing is using traffic as a way to fund the municipal court, then I would say your values are seriously flawed. And while we're talking about values, Sharon Canopa, you and I haven't been on the right side too many times. But I did want to sit there and applaud you for my single-family neighborhood being a single-family neighborhood. Bess Johnson, when you ran for election, you said in your advertisements, a vote for me is a vote for you is a vote for me. You haven't given me anything.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else from business from the public? Yeah, Lisa?
Good evening. I'm Lisa Grotto. I'm the Executive Director of the Albany Downtown Association. I just wanted to bring a couple of things to the council. The first thing is tomorrow is Coffee with a Cop. That will be held at Margin Coffee tomorrow, February 28th, and that is from 9 to 11 in the morning. Their address is 206 2nd Avenue Southwest, and that's near the corner of Ellsworth. So it's a wonderful opportunity to meet with officers in a casual setting and have a conversation. So I want to make sure you know that that's going off as planned tomorrow. Also, as many of you are aware, when Karen Novak arrived this morning at her restaurant, she opened the back door to be greeted by billowing smoke. I wanted to thank the Albany Fire Department for their extremely fast response and the other neighboring cities who provided response. Their fast actions not only saved that building, but adjacent buildings and preserved our downtown and just the wonderful work that they do every day. But it really touched home today for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And had they not been able to make it down because of the snow, or if Karen hadn't been there, we don't know what might have happened. And if the fire department wasn't so prompt, we don't know what would have happened. Yeah. So truly want to thank them. Also would like to let you know that we're going to be looking at a way to support the employees. I'm not quite sure what the insurance is going to do to help them with lost wages. So we started a post today that's called the Novak's Employee Relief Fund. We don't quite know what they're going to need yet, but look for some information after Karen and I have a chance to talk a little more tomorrow.
Oh, good, good. Lisa, do you know if the boutique hotel was okay? I mean,
They're fine. They have some smoke smell, but they're able to abate that, and the same with Margin Coffee, and I did confirm that they will not be having a problem tomorrow, that there may be some smoke odor, but they did not have any smoke damage. So.
I did hear, because of, with the older buildings, it's a great firewall when you have brick in between, so that really helped out to be able to help the other neighboring buildings. But yeah, great. I know. Anyway. My heart went out to the Novak family. They're such a hard-working family.
They're mostly worried about their employees getting through and making sure that they make
Yeah.
every accommodation they can to get them through the time when the repairs are being made.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any idea how long it'll take to get it back in shape?
I don't believe she
Pretty-
has that
probably
now, but
pretty early
it
in
would
those
certainly be a number of weeks, I would think,
Oh, that long?
to repair things. I don't really have a lot of details. I was limited conversations today with all the things that they needed to get lined up.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
it
know.
was major
3 to 4 weeks is
fire.
Yeah.
Too
I-
bad.
Well, they had to cut into the whole, half the floor, so tear it out. Yeah.
So there's smoke issues
Maybe in
and
the
some
ground floor.
other issues.
Yeah,
So-
wow.
I have cylinders in
But it was caught at the right time and
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
taken care of by our fire department.
Mm-hmm, yep. So, wow, thank you, Lisa.
You bet.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Lisa.
Thank you, and look forward to everyone helping.
Okay, you bet, thank you. Is there anyone else from business from the public? Yeah, Tom?
I won't touch it.
It does pick up a lot better than the other one, so.
Okay. Two observations tonight. The mayor asked for if there was any more discussion regarding the ADU issue, like she was supposed to, and there was none. But there was a whole bunch of carping done afterwards. And I think that's totally inappropriate. Your opportunity to speak is before the motion is voted on. If you have any carping about it later, do it in private. I don't think it speaks well of the council to have people carping about a decision that has already been made many times in public, and the carping ought to stop. The other observation is, when the young lady spoke about having meetings canceled that had been promised, and Mr. Olson tried to assume ownership of the solution of that problem. I understand, Dick, your intensity of wanting that problem solved. To me, the way to solve the problem is to turn to our highly paid city manager, and all the rest of you are volunteers, to the highly paid city manager and tell him to his face, I want this damn problem solved before tomorrow afternoon, and I don't ever want to hear it come up again. And when staff says, well, we don't want to get into that now, you know, it's kind of complicated, we don't want to do that now. That's where it goes. It goes to the city manager to solve that problem, and you don't ever want to hear it again. So
If it
that's
gets
my
solved.
that's my recommendation,
Yeah,
to
I
solve
appreciate
the
it,
problem.
Tom. And I did bring it up last Monday, and I said I would like to have the plans and have some discussion about just where we're going on this. And I don't see anything. So, yes, I'm kind of exercised about the situation.
Okay. And thank you, the three people who upheld the restrictions on the
I'm not
ADUs.
exercising you, I'm exercising.
Thank you for that.
them.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Anyone else from business from the public? So, okay, not seeing anyone. Thank you, folks. Council, next you have adoption of the consent calendar, and actually, what I remind you, this is actually number 1, 2, and 3 that's on, all the way down to 3. It's the rest of the agenda items is all consent calendar. So if there isn't an item that needs to be pulled off for discussion, then this evening I'll entertain a motion.
Yes, I'd like to pull off, it's item under E2, and it's a D and E. I'd like to hear about that.
Okay, item under 2, you said D and E?
Yep.
Okay, and then Rich, you said 3?
3.
Okay, anything else?
I'll make a motion for adoption of the consent calendar with the exception of item 2D, 2E, and 3.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, item 2D. Dick?
Yeah, it's going out for a grant, and the idea there is to, what do they want to do with it? They want to set up a task force, apparently, to apprehend people who are driving while distracted, accepting and appropriating funds for the fiscal year 18 and 19 Oregon Distracted Driving Enforcement Grant up to $3,000. So what's involved in distracted driving? Do my
Good evening.
hearing aids, do they count? Or?
No, good evening, Mayor and City Council. This is grant money that we receive every year, and it's through NHTSA, and it's to increase traffic safety. So distracted driving is those who are, instead of driving, they're on their cell phones, they're texting, that type of thing. So that's what we look for.
So putting on my seatbelt is distracted driving?
Seatbelt isn't distracted driving. That's a different.
Well, I was putting on my seatbelt while underway, and I got nailed for it.
Okay.
This is something we need everywhere, and we need more of it as awareness, so it's fine.
Well, I'm wondering if it's another move to harass the public.
No, when it comes to cell
so
phones,
I-
texting, I have got permanent disabilities from a driver that was distracted.
My
so-
pickup was totaled by somebody texting and going to LBCC. Distracted driving is a problem everywhere, not just in Oregon. It's a problem everywhere. And I used to ride a Harley, and I was driving down Pacific right by the high school, and this kid was coming towards me with his cell phone on the steering wheel, and he drifted across this median and almost killed me. Well, we need more money to help deal with that issue.
Okay.
It's getting better,
And
I
the
think.
gal that hit me missed rumble strips, blinking yellow warning sign of a stop sign, and blew through it at 60 miles an hour, and definitely distracted with that, so.
My little car was rear-ended over on Santa Ana at the freeway while I'm sitting there in the left-hand lane and hear squealing coming behind me, and it's a rig that comes up and hits me from the back, and girl on her cell phone.
It's so upsetting, yeah.
But, you know, the plus for me, though, is that I got to meet the other Alex Johnson in Oregon, in Albany. Officer Alex Johnson. That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I had the same concern about number E.
Number E?
The Oregon Department of Transportation Speed Enforcement Grant. So is that you to help set up speed traps and that kind of thing?
It's not a speed trap, it's to reduce drivers that were exceeding the speed limit. It's to reduce them from speeding so that our roads become safer. We have a lot of collisions, especially on Pacific, all the way from, usually it's Gary down to San Diego. That's usually where our major corridor we have issues with. And so along with the distracted driving, it's trying to keep speeds down. We also have a speeding issue on Pacific, up there by Costco in that area. So it's set up.
Believe it.
Well, how about the guy that sits on 11th Street, back far enough where you can't see him when you come off the overpass, and he's sitting there with a radar gun? I call that a speed trap.
That's their job.
Well, I guess if you weren't speeding, you wouldn't have to worry about a police officer shooting a radar gun at you. If you were abiding by the laws that are written in the laws to protect your neighbors and everybody else, you wouldn't have to worry about him sitting back on 10th Street with a radar gun and shooting if you weren't breaking the law.
There you go.
Simple.
Okay, anything else on this item, Dick?
I'm going to vote no on the whole thing because of these two.
Okay. And then, Rich, you had number 3.
I just want to know which vehicle, what it is we're getting rid of and why.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
So you may have seen around town in the past, or in the fire station, it's the yellow fire station, or I'm sorry, the yellow water tender, 1988 Western States Ford that we purchased just at the beginning of my career.
Selling it to somebody else that needs
Yeah,
one
yeah,
more?
whoever. Probably, my guess would be a logging outfit would end up purchasing it to put it up on, some
okay.
operation or something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I move that we adopt the rest of the consent calendar.
So that's 2D, E, and 3.
2D, E, and number 3.
Okay.
Second?
All right, motion's been made, and there's been 2 seconds. Okay, just more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, 1 no, motion carried. All right, next is business from the council, and Bessie, is there anything this evening?
Not tonight, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, Bill?
Just a question for Chief Bradner back there. Any idea what did cause the fire over there at Novak's?
They're still investigating it. They got a couple things they're taking a look at, but nothing for sure at this point.
Yeah. It did quite a bit of damage, though, to it, and having to tear up that floor, but, yeah, so, wow.
Nothing else,
Okay,
thank you.
all right, Dick, anything?
Just that I did mention at our Monday meeting that I'd like to have the engineers prepared to talk about that pump house. And
They're prepared to talk to you about it, but they wanted to talk to you offline and give you the full history of it, and the fact that it has been open for public comment, and there have been adjustments made at some expense as well to try to help the homeowners with their interests. But we'll...
So we're going to exclude the public from any discussion?
No, the public's been, there've been
They've had their
opportunities.
chance and
Yeah,
it's-
oh, yes, they've had several meetings, as I understand it. But we'll give you more of a...
Boy, I guess I'm not...
Well, I'll be happy to, and...
I guess I heard a different story before.
Right.
I talked to Stacy Belcastro, I know you don't want to talk about it to me, and Sirlewski, and they showed me a picture of a red building sitting on top of that pump station. It was about 10 feet tall. And then Hasso goes down, talks to your people, and he comes out with a thing that the pump station is essentially ground level, and there's a couple of power things off to the side. And why do I get a different reply than he gets? Perhaps I talked to the wrong person. I guess I need to talk to you every time, don't I?
I think he needs to go to the city manager.
Talk to Chris and
I think
Jim.
part of the challenge is that there's a design in progress, which means there is no final answer yet. And so
Okay.
as...
Well, that's reassuring.
As...
Now, I wish you could have said that when my constituents were here, and that you're not going to be building the thing.
I have strong disagreement with the characterization of past communications, and I did not
Okay.
see it beneficial to
I know I've
debate
been
that with her.
reassured in the past that all would be well, but I don't recall
So
seeing
there,
the plans.
we're happy to come in and there's a couple of things we can do. One is, we're happy to come back and provide information to you. I'd prefer to do that on a schedule that doesn't mean that we have to delay bidding. So if we could look at the agenda and pick a date in which you want a report back, we can, happy to do that. It would be helpful to know what information you want shared. If you're wanting to revisit some of the issues that we've talked a lot about in the past, or if you just want an update or what you want. Again, I will tell you that Stacy has done a lot of the one-on-one. I have had, several months ago, I had a conversation with one of the homeowners out there. I know Stacy has had a number of one-on-one phone calls with property owners. They requested a meeting. Chris and Stacy went out and met with them. They expressed some concerns. Staff modified the design in response to those concerns, which is why the building is in a different location now than it was. We weren't, at the time that we met with them, we weren't sure whether or not we could accommodate that. Stacy's been providing regular email updates to them, but she can all tell you that again, if you would like to hear that. We don't, it's not, as a matter of practice, we don't take what the final aesthetic picture of what a 10 by 19 building might look out for, we don't do a public notice and solicit public comments on every building that's constructed would look like. Based on the direction that we got from council in this instance, the directions was to make sure that, one is, there was a desire to not provide fencing, if we could avoid the fencing, which I believe we have. That was a specific concern that you had raised, Councilor Olson. And then also, there was an expressed desire to make it aesthetically compatible with the surroundings. And so if there was a little bit extra that had to be done to make sure that it fit in with the surrounding neighborhood and the investments that people made, that we would do that. We didn't have direction at that time to come back and share that with council and get approval before moving forward with a bid. So that wasn't in our plan, because that's just not part of our standard practice. If that's what is being requested, I think Stacy said she just got 90% plans 2 days ago. So I don't know if we now have a more finished product, but this is one of the problems with trying to work through, discussing and debating design elements along the way. I think it's good to get the feedback that we got, make the adjustments that we made, but if people assume that things are final when we're 50% of the way through the project, that creates some misunderstanding.
Well, it would be nice if you have a plan prepared, that I'd be able to say to my constituents, I have seen the plans. If you'd like to see them, I can arrange that we can take a look at.
Yeah, and we've been sharing the information with them, and I believe that Stacy's intent was to share that 90% plans with them.
Courtney, that was Miss Minyard that was here tonight. Has she been down to see you? Have you shared that with her?
I don't know if she's the one it was a couple months ago that I spoke with an individual on the phone. The name is familiar. I believe that's the person, one of the people that Stacy and Chris have been communicating with.
Okay. Well, there is major concern about it.
Well, and the Greens were here too. They were in the back, and they've had a concern about it. So, yeah, I think it'd be helpful for the council to have an update.
Okay. Are you wanting to?
Photos and stuff, but.
I'm not asking you this question to be difficult. This is a sincere question. How much are you wanting to dive back into again? Are you wanting to go all the way back to re-receiving the reports on alternative locations where you did not previously? Because that's really what they want. They want it built by somebody else's house. And
I think what it's going to end up looking like, and I think probably if there can be some screening done with some landscaping to, block the
well, this view of the river
that
they're concerned about, one of their major concerns.
Okay, so you would like to see maybe what a rendering of what it might look like when it's done?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you might be able to tell from, from Water Avenue, how's that going to look too, how high, because it's quite a drop down in there. Yeah, okay. All
So,
right.
Marilyn, do you have the agenda in front of you? Can we look at a date?
I can get one.
March 11th is our next work session.
March 11th isn't an option.
So.
Is not an option. That would be the one after that. Councilor Coburn will not be here.
Why?
Is there a regular meeting on the 13th?
There is.
All right. Would you be open to having a staff report at the end of that meeting?
Yep,
All right.
that'd be good.
I'll see if I can coordinate that with Stacy, and we'll go from there.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay,
Anything
yeah.
else, Dick?
Yeah, thank you. No, that's
Okay,
enough.
all right, Rich?
A couple of things. We had issue with Waverly. Short answer is it's going from 1,200 feet to 300 or 400 feet. I mean, that's just a starting point, and we don't know what it's going to look like yet because it hasn't come back from staff yet to know what the safety issues are.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. This issue, gravity is what gravity is, and the pipes that do the overflowing are in certain places, and we kind of have to attach someplace in that area to go a different direction. So, third, ADUs. I'm not married to this. There are some things that I am married to, one of which is you can't tell people that they have to check in who they have living someplace. The legislatures, council has said, nope, can't do that, that's not legal. Our council has said there are problems with it. Our ex-council has said there's problems with it. A third local lawyer has said there's problems with that. Would not be legal, would not be enforceable, et cetera. I'm willing to chip away at that. You want to have somebody have to have be an owner occupied in order to get the permit to do one? Okay, fine, but not afterwards. Because to my way of thinking, we don't want the Nazi group running around saying who's living here, who's living here. That's not who we are. I mean, when you start negotiating for something, you need to negotiate. We changed a little bit. I expected some change from the other side, didn't get it. So, we're where we're at. If there is change available from the other side, sure like to hear it. And I don't mean I want to hear it here tonight. I'd like to hear a proposal. It'd be nice if we could get this done, but kind of jamming it down our throat is probably not one of the better ways to try to do that. I mean, when somebody growls at me, I growl back. Everyone knows that. That's kind of the way it is. Anyway, that's what I had for this evening.
And
onward and upward.
And with that, I will say, for our side, the one side to have a proposal, what has come from your side for budging?
We moved from having no restrictions on parking to having restrictions unless there was no space, which then they could use the street.
Yeah.
But that, it's what a negotiation is. It's move a little bit incrementally, the other people move a little bit, and pretty soon you get to a place where nobody's happy. And, excuse me, Mayor, nobody's happy, and everybody is given something, and maybe you can get to someplace in the middle where there are either 4 votes that you don't worry about, or 5 votes that you do worry about.
So the only thing I will say, between Bill and Dick and I have moved way from our first position. And I'll say, I've mentioned it over and over, I'm sorry if you don't agree, but we have, so
Well, let's see.
leaving it at
Our
that.
current law says 750. You demand 750. That's the same.
We wanted less. We wanted to go at
Our
less.
current code says that.
Right, but we could have crafted up our code differently.
Oh, well,
We were
then maybe
wanting
we
it
should have
less.
started with 100 million square feet, and we could come down to 1
I'm
million square
sorry,
feet.
this
I
is
mean,
an
Let's
issue.
understand.
We just have to agree to disagree on, so, on
Okay,
that.
that's fine.
So,
It'll get fixed
okay.
sometime in 2092.
Sounds good to me.
I'm
Okay,
done.
Alex, anything?
Mine's not so dark. I attended the dog show this weekend, the past weekend. I want to thank Rebecca Bond for coming and meeting with the staff from the Lynn County Kennel Club. It was fantastic to have you there and kind of show me around and take me on a tour of that. I really appreciate it. Second thing, I'd like to invite the City Council. I know you'll be out of town. The 13th Annual African American Youth Leadership Conference is happening at LBCC, which is in my ward. It's a day of learning about Black African American history, and it's going to be April 9th. But the great thing is I'll be introducing the mayor. I'm the MC for the event, but I'll be introducing Mayor Canopa. And it's like the 3rd or 4th time we've done this, but it's a great event for kids from all communities coming to our city and learning about African American culture, how to get into college. We have college tours set up. I think 13 colleges will be coming from Washington State down to Southern Oregon. It's a big event for kids, and we have 350 kids coming from all of our middle schools and from the Shamawa Indian School. We have all cultures, everyone's welcome, but I'd love to show you around. I think you guys would really appreciate it.
I don't have them on my calendar, so what's the
April
date?
9th. April 9th,
Oh, April-
LBCC.
April 9th.
That's why I'm giving you notice now. Peter
Okay.
decided to go to Washington, but that's okay.
And what time? What time?
That starts at, I start my speech at 8:30 for the kids. But I'll be
Okay.
introducing you about 9:15 or so.
9:15.
But I'll get you an actual schedule.
Okay, yep, thank you. Okay, out at LBCC. Okay, great, thank you. Thank you, Alex, for helping to coordinate that, so.
I'll work with you on it.
Yeah, all right. Mike, anything?
Chris,
Yeah.
my spot hole's back. Just letting you know.
So it's not a pothole anymore, it's a spot hole.
It's just, you named it, I didn't.
It's really ODOT's pothole, but we'll go do it again.
I know, but it's back,
All right.
just so you know.
The one in front of House of Noodles gone.
Yeah, well, this one's back.
Well, yeah, but
And it sounded like our staff had to fix it, and yet it was an ODOT.
It's an ODOT.
It went out on Facebook, kind of exploded. Yeah, yeah, and ended up getting tagged on that one, and what I did like was hearing from some folks that said, now, wait a minute, you had the option of voting for a gas tax to be able to help bring in some more.
I remember that.
Yeah, some more, revenue, so I was glad some folks remembered that, but, yeah. Anything
Excuse me,
else,
Mayor,
Mike?
I have
Yeah.
one more, do I have to fill that? I have one more thing, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, please,
Okay, so,
then I'll go again.
okay. So, I've been getting a lot of emails from constituents about feral cats, and Marilyn's been helping me kind of work through that, and I copied Peter on it. I don't know what the resolution is, but we need to deal with it in certain communities, so if we can figure out how to do that, I'd really appreciate it.
So I haven't heard of feral cats as a problem for quite a few years
It's
since
a
we
problem.
started up that cat program years ago.
Well, my email's blowing up about cats, so.
So what location? of
Madison,
Albany?
one street, one of the communities is Madison.
Uh-huh.
I haven't been there yet, I'm going Friday to drive through it and take a look
Yeah.
at it, but feral cats has been on my radar, so.
Oh, yeah, I hate to see that, because that's the reason we've been, helping to support the program to get cats spayed and neutered, but we used to have
Is there
a,
a program now?
what's that?
Is there a program in place now?
Yep, we've had that
Well, I
for
need that
years.
information so I can pass it on.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Thank
we've
you.
had that for years, so, yeah, and we had a lady that was, for quite a few years, man, she was diligent about going out on a whole weekend trapping cats, feral cats, and getting them spayed and neutered, but I think she's
Haven't heard
totally.
from her
I haven't heard from her in a long time, so.
in a couple of
yeah.
years.
She trapped thousands of cats.
Yeah, she had a
Yeah. Okay, anything else, Alex?
I'm good, thank you,
Okay,
Mayor.
Mike, anything else?
I'd like to thank the police department for what they do with the limited funds that they have to make the streets of Albany safe. They have limited funds, they work really dang hard getting their job done and try to make the place safe and prevent motor vehicle accidents and people breaking the law, and I just want it on the record that I really appreciate what they do.
Here, here.
I do too. Yeah, thank you. So the only thing I have, just kind of refresh my memory, was our street condition. So, since the gas tax, did fail last year, it's one thing that we do need to be looking at, and is that if we should be having a street utility fee or what other source of funding. So is that coming up on a future agenda for us to starting that discussion?
It is. You may recall, several months back, we worked with council on a public outreach plan, and we're in the middle of implementing that right now. This past month, we've been holding meetings with Rotary and Kiwanis.
Okay.
We had done a number of web updates. I think we did some City Bridges stuff. I think there's still some video work to be done to put on the website that we had committed to. Peter and I talked about that just a week or two ago. So I think the plan has been to come back once we're done with that, probably around June-ish, and start that discussion back up to see what council might want to consider for next steps after we're done with the public outreach activities.
Okay, sooner the better. So this is the time of year we'll start getting the complaints, so, yeah. But, okay, that's all that I have. Peter, did you have anything?
Nothing further.
Okay, staff have anything else? So, yep, Bill?
Just in response to your request, I will not support a transportation fee until I see the restoration of the maintenance funds that we used to have. People ask me about that, and I said, well, we had money, and we did take care of the streets, and we did do crack sealing. I've brought it up several times, most recently last year at the budget. Peter and I have spoken about it. I know that council made a decision to shift that money into other programs, but as I recall, it's about $1.5 million. And I can't look the taxpayer in the eye and say, we're gonna take more of your money, when we, have taken money away from that program, so.
I'm with you.
Okay, so, and I think staff's going to be needing to address that too, and Peter, mostly when it comes for upcoming a budget, so.
And
okay.
Stuart Taylor swims the same time I do at the Y or at the community pool, and we had quite a discussion in the middle of the pool about that, and he explained how it went to other departments, and if you
Yeah.
take it away from them, there's consequences. I get that, I understand that, but how in the world we could ask the taxpayers for more money when we had some money? I know $1.5 million a year doesn't fix the streets, but.
Were you both treading
Yeah.
water?
No, we're in the shallow end.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? All right, then our next work session is March 11th. The next council meeting is March 13th. And thank you folks for attending. With that, we're adjourned.